Welcome back again, Forging Friends. We are back with the Dark Tidings opening, deck number 2. Let's go for this one today. Gonna sneak up on it and hopefully get a good one here. Opening this one, we've got Untamed, Sanctum, and Saurians. We've got Tania H. Rajbulis the Fifth. That's all a mouthful. But another very symmetric Archon there. Very cool. It's got robotic arms and his head kind of cool looking, little crown. All right, let's see what we got here. Dropping down the Archon card, dropping down the Tide card. We are starting with Untamed. We have Youngest Bear, a 2-power creature with Reap. You may reap with one of Youngest Bear's neighbors. Great card. Use cards off house. We got Witch of the Dawn, a 3-power creature with Play. Return a creature from your discard pile to your hand. Some good recursion. Awesome to see. We got the Fittest, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, give each friendly creature a +1 power counter. Can give it a little more survivability to some creatures. I like that. Got Mollymawk, a 5-power creature that's been enhanced with a Capture Pip. Play, destroy an artifact. We got some artifact control. Great stuff. Flume is a 3-power creature with Skirmish and Fight. Give a beast creature 2 +1 power counters. Can really get strong pretty well. We got the Deepwater Gruin, a 5-power creature with 2 Amber Pips. And play Reap. If the tide is low, your opponent gains an Amber. So you want to always take the tide, obviously, when you play this card. We got the Chelonia, a 2-power creature with Elusive. And after you play under the creature, if the tide is high, gain an Amber. Wow, we've got a couple ways of gaining a lot of Amber already. Nice. Chelonia is great. We've got Assert Dominance, an action card with Play. For the remainder of the turn, a friendly creature gains Skirmish, ready and fight with that creature. We got Sanctum in here too, so we can probably make a good use of that, using that off house. We got the Spore Gorger, a 4-power creature with Reap. Give Spore Gorger a +1 power counter. You may remove each +1 power counter from Spore Gorger. For each counter removed this way, deal 1 damage to each other creature. So it can kind of be like a board wipe. Hurts your creatures as well. Might be useful in some situations. We've got the Genetic Drift action card with an Amber Pip. Play, give a creature a +1 power counter, then give each creature with a +1 power counter another +1 power counter. So this works for yours and your opponent's creatures too. So requires a little bit of finesse playing it, but it's a good card. We've got the Fangtooth Cavern, a double-edged sword, an artifact with an Amber Pip. At the end of your turn, destroy the least powerful creature. So we got to decide when we want to play that for sure. We've got the Fertility Chant, an action card with 4 Amber Pips, and play your opponent gains 2. Wow. I mean, if we had a key cheat in this Untamed, that'd be kind of insane too. But we're moving on to Saurians now. We've got Spoils of Battle, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, a friendly creature captures 1 Amber. Each creature with Amber on it captures 1 from its opponent. Pretty cool. We got some Amber control. We got 2 of those, which is great. Got the Medicus Locus, a 5-power creature. While the tide is high, you may spend Amber on friendly creatures as if it were in your pool. I mean, this card's pretty cool, but it always ends up where, your opponent's never going to not take the tide, otherwise, because that means you win, right? So we got 2 of that, though. We got Decadence, an action card that's been enhanced with a Capture Pip. This says, play, choose 1, exalt, ready, and use a friendly creature, and move 1 Amber from a creature to another creature. So you can choose one of those 2 things to do. Pretty versatile card. Like to see that. We got Crushing Charge, an action card with Play. Destroy each creature with power 4 or lower and gain a chain. That's a good board wipe for small creatures. Along with our Fangtooth Cavern, we kind of hate smaller creatures in this deck. We've got the Cornicent Octavia, a 5-power creature with 1 armor. Action, capture 2 Amber. Great card, lots of survivability. Got that Carpe Venom, a action card with Play. Exalt 2 enemy creatures. Get them free Amber with that. We got 2 of those. We got 3 of those. So that's pretty much, I mean, unless your opponent gets rid of it, that's 6 free Amber. But I mean, we're putting them on enemy creatures that we choose. So we put them all on one, on the 2 weakest creatures. And that could be pretty solid. Wow. We got the Paraguardian, a 6-power 1 armor creature with Reap. You may exalt him. If you do, ward each of his neighbors. Some good protection there. We got the Anklo Formation action card with an Amber Pip. Play, choose 1. For the remainder of the turn, a friendly creature gains Skirmish, or exalt a friendly creature. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature gains Skirmish. So you can make your whole board really good fighters. That's pretty cool. Moving on to Sanctum, we have Staunch Knight, a 4-power 2 armor creature, and it gets +2 power while it's on a flank. So usually it's a 6/2, which is pretty solid. Got Sir Bever, a 1-power 5 armor creature with Taunt. Good to have Taunt creatures. We got 2 of him. We got Seneschal Sargassa, a 6-power 2 armor creature, and after a player raises the tide, a creature they control captures 2 from their opponent. So it works positively for you and your opponent. It's a little bit frustrating if you're about to win and your opponent uses this against you. General Salvador is a 4-power 2-armor creature that's just enhanced a couple of capture pips. We got Bulwark, a 4-power 1-armor creature that's got Assault 2, and each of his neighbors gain Assault 2. So we got some good fights going on here. Honor or Glory is an action card with play. Choose one, deal 3 damage to each flank creature, or deal 3 damage to each creature not on a flank. So we can deal damage however we like. That's pretty cool. It does damage to our own creatures too, though. So got to be wary of that. Holdfast is a 6-power creature with after one of Holdfast neighbors is dealt damage, ready Holdfast. So you can fight with both. You can fight with him and fight with his neighbors, or reap with him and then fight with his neighbors, and get some good use out of him. That's pretty cool. You got the Gatekeeper, a 5-power 1-armor creature. If your opponent has 7 or more amber, captured all but 5 of it. Some good amber control there. Alms Master is a 4-power 1-armor creature with deploy and taunt, and play each of his neighbors captures 1 amber. Very cool. Each of her neighbors captures 1 amber. We've got Trial by Water, an action card with an amber pip. Play Reset the Tide. Until the start of your next turn, players cannot raise the tide. Interesting. So that's a really good card, actually. That prevents your opponent from getting any positive effects. That might, depending on if they're playing Dark Tidings or not, that might stall them out for a turn. Interesting card. That's a rare, yeah. Commandeer is an action card with an amber pip. Play for the remainder of the turn. After you play another card, a friendly creature captures an amber. And that's the last card of the deck. A lot of really cool things in that deck. It seems to have a little bit of everything. Seems to be just a generally good deck. I'll go ahead and get the counts done, and I'll see you back at my computer. All right, welcome back to my desktop. We have the deck pulled up here on Decks of Keyforge, or the Keyforge website. And let's go through the counts here. As you can see on the left, we have 20 creatures, a solid number of creatures. And we have 1521 amber based on these Carpe Venoms. I didn't know for sure, depending on what our opponent's creatures are. Maybe they're a little too powerful, they're hard to take out. So we might not be guaranteed to get this amber, but most of the time I think we could get it. So we could get up to that 21 amber mark just on the cards, which is pretty insane. That's an insane amount of amber. Amber control, we have 6. We have artifact control, 1 with the Mollymawk. We have I should say about the amber control, we lost 1 amber control because the fertility chant gives our opponent some amber too, guaranteed. So anyway, artifact control, Mollymawk, creature control 5, efficiency 2 for youngest bear and decadence, and recursion 1 with the Witch of the Dawn, and no disruption in this deck. So overall, I think it's a pretty interesting deck. It's got a lot of cool little tools. Spoils a battle for some good amber control, and we have the Gatekeeper and Alms Master and Commandeer. Really, a lot of really good tools for amber control. And then looking at this Untamed, we have the Chelonia, we have the Fertility Chant, and we have the Deepwater Gruin. All 3 of those are pretty good for generating some more amber. So we're really good when it comes to generating amber. The problem comes, we have only 1 artifact control. We have a lot of board control and some amber control. So yeah, there's we could definitely run out of amber control, and our board control isn't the strongest. There's no real huge exciting combo that I would say is in this deck. The Trial by Water could potentially be used. If you have the Seneschal Sargassa out and you're about to forge and you don't want your opponent using that against you, you could probably take the tide, get the effect, and then use Trial by Water to prevent them from taking the tide back. That could be something you could do. Or if they have some kind of ability that they'll be using next turn, Trial by Water can be really disruptive. It's a really good card to have against obviously against Dark Tidings. And so yeah, nothing else super stands out to me. But then again, I don't think it really needs to. There's a lot of really cool things in this deck, but no huge combos that I think would be someone would be looking for to take it to a vault tour or something. Medicus Locus, it's a cool card, but I mean, your opponent's just going to take the tide, right? If you're going to win the game, your opponent has no reason not to take the tide, right? If you're going to get a key ahead, they might just take the tide anyway, no matter how many chains they have, right? So there's no, I don't know, very rarely will I ever see this card activate. So it just kind of feels like a fighter, right? It doesn't really feel like one that you keep out. It's just kind of annoying, right? There's a lot of annoying things in this deck that your opponent has to worry about. And we have Sir Bever for taking care of protecting creatures as well. Could put one of those next to that Chelonia. That'd be pretty good if we can pull that off. And the Fangtooth Cavern's kind of a hard thing to reconcile as well, because it'll take care of our Sir Bever, it'll destroy our Sir Bever, but then most of the Saurian and Sanctum will survive pretty well, depending on what our opponent's playing, obviously. Youngest Bear being probably one of our weakest here. So we'd have to kind of weigh it out. If we use most of our Untamed, I think I'd probably feel pretty good about using our Fangtooth, and then we could destroy it later on with a Mollymawk if we really want to. So it might work out, but overall, it's a hard deck to rate. Probably not in the 70s. Oh, maybe. So our last deck had like 19-ish creatures, I think, in it. So, and it had I think it had some similar things. So, and that was, I think I'll rate it at a 70. I'll put it at a 70. I'll put it right on the edge there. It might be low. It might be high 60s. It might be low 70s. I could see a case for either thing, but my gut's telling me right now to rate it as a 70. So let's go ahead and head over to Dex Keyforge. I have the link copied. Let's go ahead and make your guesses now. I am guessing a 70. What do you guys think? Go ahead and guess. Let's see what we got. 64. It's even worse than the last deck. Oh man, I'm really overvaluing these decks, aren't I? Oh my gosh, I need a lot of practice. See, this is good. I need a lot of practice evaluating Dark Tidings. 64. It's much worse than I expected. Wow. So we're losing. We're not losing any synergy there. 8 synergy, 55 base arc. We have 6 Amber Control. And we're losing some for Paraguardian because it exalts itself, and Fertility Chant, which we counted as losing some Amber Control there. Getting the most out of Seneschal Sargasso, even though it's a double-edged sword. 24 for the expected Amber, losing some for the Cornicent Octavia and for the Seneschal Sargasso, because Sargasso can be used against us. It's a hard card to use, but the Cornicent Octavia as well, because it always wants to capture too. It's also something that we'll lose Amber for, because we're not generally going to be reaping with the guy. Mollymawk is the only Amber Control. We have a little bit of lowered efficiency because we're losing some from the Crushing Charge. Chelonia counts as, because we take chains. We always want to take chains for Chelonia. I need to learn that I have to call out cards that always want chains, right? So the Deepwater Gruin, Chelonia, and Crushing Charge are always going to want the Tide, right? What is Crushing Charge? Crushing Charge is destroy each creature with power 4 or lower, gain. So you're getting a chain, as well as you're gaining, you're taking the Tide. So, man, I feel like I'd play this deck though, right? Would you guys not play this deck? It's a 64. It seems pretty fun. Some recursion with Witch of the Dawn, like we said. So what are these synergies looking like? So we have minus synergies because we have a 1 power creature, a Sir Bever, and we have the 2 power creatures, 2 to 3 power creatures with Chelonia, Flume, with Witch of the Dawn, and Youngest Bear. So we talked about that being some anti-synergy there. But if you play, your Sir Bevers and your Untamed creatures, the Fangtooth Cavern might be a really good play. So it has some potential in this deck at least. Anything else that stands out? We have 70% efficiency between Witch of the Dawn and some good creatures. So Witch of the Dawn could get back that Chelonia, the Deepwater, the Mollymawk. So we could get potentially 2 artifact destructions with the Witch of the Dawn, which is nice. Medicus Locus has some synergy with things that capture Amber. Even though, like I said, it's a hard one to use, it still has 80% efficiency with the things, all the stuff we have that captures Amber. I mean, if we can get that Gatekeeper out, and for whatever reason they don't take the Tide on their turn, Medicus Locus could really, could just really win us the game right there. But that'd probably be up to our opponent, which is kind of a downside. Spoils of Battle has 65% efficiency with things that capture Amber. Makes sense. We have minus 110 efficiency with Crushing Charge because we have a whole bunch of creatures that are 4 power or less. So that's a huge thing. Any of these board wiping cards, we got to pay attention to those, right? That specify a certain power. I'm noticing that they really reduce the efficiency of a deck if you have a decent number of creatures below that power. So maybe we'll start taking away points for those things. We have a 100% efficiency with Honor or Glory because we have a bunch of creature with high total armor. That makes sense. 191 efficiency. I don't know if you can see this, but 191% efficiency between Decadence and things that capture Amber. So we'll be able to move an Amber from a creature to another creature pretty often. So we have so many things that capture. But yeah, this is surprising. Would you guys have guessed that this would have turned out to be a 64? I guess the quality of decks have really gone up, but this seems like a really kind of fun, very fighty, board control-y kind of deck. So with a lot of amber generation, a huge amount of amber generation. So it's a little bit slow. Like, if this deck started winning some locals and it got some chains, maybe it would have some trouble. But until then, it seems like a fun one. And this Commandeer, I forgot to mention, is a Legacy Commandeer, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, leave a comment down below if you could see, any weaknesses, any particular weaknesses that kind of stand out to you with this deck. And if you like this video, I appreciate a like. And if you want to see more of this content, please subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.